Hello. So it's time for another in between, and on today's topic, I thought I'd be in a Porsche, fitting to the topic, which is scaling a business. But before we talk about the topic, let's talk about the car. It's the Porsche Cayenne SUV, obviously. I have to say, it's a great car. I wasn't sure if I will like it like that because I drive a couple of Porsches, different models. However, this model, I have to say, amazing. I obviously share the controls and everything. I love the controls, like, next to the gearbox, where you can control everything, the temperature, the music, the radio. Really love it how it looks, the design, the seating, comfortable. This black leather, amazing. I like the gearbox, easy to use. It's obviously an automatic, but some of the gearboxes are sometimes confusing. Like, you're worried that you're looking for a drive and you find reverse, or or you jump into neutral or something. So this one I like. It's very simple, feels very sportive. Even though you feel the luxury, but it still feels sportive at the same time. You feel the power when you're accelerating. It's amazing. Steering smooth. If you're taking it around corners, like, you don't even feel being pulled to one side or another. So it's really, really smooth steering. Obviously the Porsche badge, when you're driving and you just see the badge in front of you, it has something about that badge. It makes you feel good, makes you feel great. I love the rooftop. Let me just open the sunroof, basically. I think it opens wide enough to just really get enough air in here, like, like it feels a little bit like you're driving convertible, the amount of air which comes in from the top, how it feels, even though the sides are obviously closed and so forth. But obviously it's not a convertible. It just opens very wide, and the light comes through really very great. I think the way they have obviously dimmed the rooftop, and then when you open it, the lights comes into better. Look at this person, sorry, but this person was trying to accelerate for no reason. I think he forgot that I'm in a Porsche. So yes, the only thing I don't like is obviously the Android Auto. I don't know why it can't connect properly to Android Auto. For all the luxuries which is included, Android Auto should have been standard. And just do the sunroof. But besides that, I really have to say, you get a chance to drive one of those, definitely. Try it out, test drive it, you will like it, I'm sure. As a company car, I'm not sure you're gonna justify the expense. However, if you can, why not? If you're selling like a high luxury product or something, and you have to represent luxury, why not? That's definitely a good choice. I think, like, long distance, short distances, it's a great car. It doesn't look too much from the outside. It still looks very much professional and sleek. Not too like showy. So it's great to have it as every day as well. So I'm really I have to say, I'm really amazed by this Porsche. The functionalities, the drive experience, you feel like, okay, even when you accelerate the speed, it pulls, and you can hear the engine. It's not too loud, but just about enough to feel that you're pushing down the accelerator. So it's an amazing drive, definitely. It's an amazing drive. So I think I would have to get myself one of these later, definitely. So okay, let's talk about the topic in hand. Scaling is basically when your business is already generating some money. Okay, I would say you exceed 100k a year where you know, okay, you're generating enough money to keep the business going and pay yourself, and maybe like, you know, one more other person or something, or you start thinking, to be honest, scaling, when you scale, it's always a good question. Like some companies, they might not do it on turnovers. As I said, if it's like a tech base, you need investment, you need to scale and hire people, but it goes past where I would say scaling starts past when you need more than one person, when you have to start thinking about, okay, implementing processes. So that's when you start scaling, because the whole point about scaling is, how can I grow the business? How can I grow the business from where I am now to X time multiples, and without me having to do everything? That is where I would say you're scaling a business, because if you're still the person who has to do everything, you're scaling your activity, but you're not scaling the business. You see what I mean? You're putting in more time of yourself to do something, but you're not really necessarily scaling the business. When you want to scale the business, you look at the business, say, okay, my business is generating turnover, and I want to grow it to X amount and still have a profit margin of X amount, and still just work the same amount of hours I'm working right now. So if you're doing 10-hour days, let's keep it 10-hour days, for example. I don't think there's an entrepreneur who works less than 10-hour days, but let's say 10-hour days, you should keep it 10-hour days. You don't want to be working 24 hours a day for, you know, because obviously if you're working just more hours, you're just scaling your activity, really what you're doing, you know. So the whole point, it doesn't matter what businesses there is. It could be like you're a consultant and you want to scale your consultancy, which means obviously you need more consultants, or you know what I mean, it could be you're selling a product, you want to scale the production, your how many products you're selling, but then you need obviously sorry, more systems in places to be able to sell more products without you physically having to be there to try to sell these products. So I would say the things you should be thinking about now when you're going to a scaling thing is really looking at your business. You need to get to know your business, what your business is actually doing. Okay, how many customers do you have currently? What is the profit margin on these customers? How much is it costing you to acquire each of these customers? Okay, very important, because if you know, okay, it's costing me £10 to acquire a customer, then you know how much budget you will need to put aside or into marketing to acquire even more customers. Okay, are you acquiring the customers because you're the one going to get the customers, or do you have a system in place which is acquiring the customers, which is also a difference. You know, if you're the one who still has to go out and get every customer, it's hard to scale that. So it's hard to scale that. But if you have a system in place where you know, okay, it's costing me X amount of money to get those customers, you can just put money into it to scale it. Okay, you can put somebody else at that particular place to shoot the business forward, to kind of like, you know, continue with the customer acquisition. You step out of those roles. So you really have to get to understand your customer, your business, sorry, and where everything is coming from, the cost of things. Processes are going to be key. When you get to a certain level where you really want to scale, in order for you to be able to step out the business more and more and focus on other things, you need to have processes in place. And these processes can sit with certain employees, team members, or systems. It could be a computer system. Like, so say for example, if you onboarding a customer, it could be like at the moment you physically onboard the customers, where you have a conversation, phone call with the customer, putting all the information in the system and so forth, and then onboarding, send them the information and so forth and so forth. However, when you're scaling, that becomes unproductive. So either that could sit with another person, where the person is doing it, but it's costing you also quite a bit, or you could put a system in place. You could look for an automatic system or a website or a platform where, as I said, which helps with onboarding a client, where everything is set up and the client just has to click a couple of things. He gets an email, clicks on the link, and then logs his information and so forth, and all the person or yourself has to do just maybe give the customer a call and welcome them and make sure that everything is okay and they don't have any more questions. You know, so when you really want to scale, the thing is, I said, the first thing, get to know your business, every aspect of your business, specifically the cost aspect of the business. Like I said, how much it costs you to do certain things, to acquire a customer, to, you know, your overheads, you know what I mean? Like, because if you're gonna scale, you're gonna have to spend more. Is your fixed cost going to increase, or you might need more investment or budget? So get to know your business. Secondly, look at the processes. Really, the processes to look, okay, you start tackling each process one by one and positioning it in a way where it allows you to scale. As I said, anything which you have to do repetitively, try to automate it, try to put the process in place which doesn't sit with yourself, which either sits with a team member or with an actual system. The more which can sit with a system, the better it is, actually, you know, because obviously this takes away the time for you to go there and actually do something. One of the greatest tools to use for automating systems, processes, is Zapier. You have to look it up. You have to do a research because we won't have enough time to go into it. But as I said, you can, if you have different systems you're using for different things, like a CRM system, a MailChimp for your email automation, things like that. With Zapier, you can start getting all the systems to communicate and automate certain of these processes. Get onto it. Automate marketing, automate onboarding, automate other processes which you have to do multiple times, you know, really get into it. I mean, it's something which is continuously, I mean, till today, I'm spending a lot of time on focus at the moment in automating our marketing activities, where I don't have to be involved in our marketing activities. So, it's still small, so it's going to take some time training the team members to be on the same vision and mindset, how you think, or how the business is supposed to think, or the business brand, and how we're trying to communicate. All these aspects, it takes time. But but if you're looking to automate, sometimes it might actually make sense to speak with a consultant who might come and just focus on that area. You know, especially if you don't have time. But it's gonna be hard to scale without looking at the processes and really establishing processes, or establishing processes, or like automating things. It's possible, but it's probably gonna end up costing you quite a lot in terms of time, effort, stress, cost, money, so and so forth. So, and then you might scale the business, but you don't scale your productivity. So get to know your business, get processes established, and then most important way that, now, as I said, push on sales. Like, sales is going to be the key. Like, whatever avenue you know works the best. So when you're analyzing, you look at, okay, which areas are working the best. It might be social media, it might be telemarketing sales, it might be whatever this area is working the best. Once you understand which area is generating the best results, double down. You really start going hard and pushing into that area and really doubling down. And this is how which allows you to start scaling and generating more customers, you know, and scaling your business. However, I wouldn't do the pushing down, I wouldn't do the doubling down unless I fully have understood my business, my cost aspect of the business, and I fully have automated key processes. Because I said, I'll be doubling down, I'll be getting more customers, and then everything will come crashing down because my business is not ready, and I might start losing money. I might start, losing customers, or customers become unsatisfied because, as I said, it might be too much for my business processes to handle at the moment. So my advice, obviously there's more to it to look into, but the three things I would definitely say, key things to put is understand your cost aspect, understand your business, your cost aspects, because you need to manage those effectively. Okay, make sure that it's being managed effectively and you're really investing in the right things. Establish processes, automate, so that you don't have to put more time or lose money in unnecessary areas, and then focus on areas which is work in terms of sales and generating income, and double down on those areas. So these are the key things I would say which would recommend when you look into scaling. So that was today's in between. I hope it was clear enough. Obviously, you know, there's always our details, my details. If you want to speak about it a little bit more detail and you want to contact me or the team. So yeah, look, we're always looking forward to speaking to you guys. And see you on the next episode. Let me enjoy my Porsche for now, you know. Cheers, bye-bye.